A warning alarm echoed through the silent command deck of the HSS Leviathan. The red lights pulsed like a heartbeat, slow, steady, and deadly serious. Commander Juno Reyes stood at the center, her dark eyes locked on the massive forward display. Screen, a single, blinking dot, hovered in the middle of deep space. It pulsed like it was alive. "That's the signal?" Reyes asked, her voice calm but tight. Lieutenant Mara Chen nodded from the comm station. "Yes, Commander. Audio is on loop. Same distress signal."
Ow.
Over and over again. "Play it." The deck went quiet. Then a voice filled the room, distorted, full of static, but unmistakably human. "This is UFS Calderon. We are under attack. Failing. Requesting immediate evac." "Repeat. This is the Calderon." The message cut off. Reyes stared at the screen. The Calderon was a deep space science ship. It had been declared destroyed almost 4 years ago during a skirmish with the Zendari Empire. Everyone on board was presumed dead. There were no survivors, no wreckage, nothing. And yet here was its signal. Playing from deep within a region of space humans called the Black Expanse uncharted. Empty and cold. She turned to her crew. "Plot a course. We're going in." The Leviathan, Earth's first and only supercarrier, moved silently through space. Like a beast hunting prey, nearly 2 kilometers long, covered in armor plating as thick as a city wall, empowered by a reactor that could tear holes in reality. It was more than a ship. It was a fortress. Final answer to any alien threat. And yet, as it entered the coordinates of the signal, something about the silence felt wrong. The forward scouts reported no signs of activity. No debris, no life, no planets. Only stars. "And that signal, Commander?" said the helmsman. "We're approaching the origin point, dropping out of warp." Space rippled like water as the Leviathan emerged into real space. Immediately, every sensor on the ship lit up with noise. "What the hell?" whispered Lieutenant Chen. Outside the ship, a graveyard floated. Hundreds of ships, alien and human, some shattered in half. Some twisted, like they'd been folded by something too strong, too fast. Others looked melted. And there, right in the center, was the Calderon completely intact. "Status of the Calderon?" Reyes asked. "No life signs," replied the science officer. "Power levels, flickering, engines cold. But the signal is definitely coming from it." The Leviathan sent a recon drone. It got ... It flew silently through the field of twisted metal, slipping between broken battleships and burnt-out cruisers. When it reached the Calderon, its external lights revealed something strange. No damage. The ship was in perfect condition. It looked like it had never seen battle. "Except for one thing, sir," said Chen, voice shaking. "There's a message painted on its hull. Show me." The drone camera zoomed in, across the side of the ship, in massive black letters, "Do not follow." Reyes stared, her heartbeat slowing. She had seen alien warnings before, lead scrawled. On walls, burned-out stations with dying words etched into metal, but never something so clear, so human. "Bring the drone back," she ordered. "Now," but the drone didn't move. "It's not responding," said the technician. "Something's jamming the signal. Then kill the feed. Shut it down." The screen blinked off. For a moment, everything went still. Then the ship trembled. It was subtle. It's barely a vibration. But every officer on the deck felt it. "Report." "Gravitational fluctuation," the helmsman said, sweat starting to form on his brow. "It's like something massive just appeared. Behind us." Reyes turned to the rear view screen. Nothing, just stars. Then one of the stars blinked. Zoom in. The screen focused. That blinking star wasn't a star. It was an eye. Massive, glowing alien. Before Reyes could speak, the Leviathan's AI cut in. "Warning. Unknown entity detected. Activating defensive protocols. Shields flared. Weapons charged." "Wait," Reyes shouted. "Do not engage." But the AI didn't respond. Something was overriding her commands. And then, the signal from the Calderon changed. It wasn't a distress call anymore. It was laughter. A low, human-sounding laugh that echoed through the entire ship's comms, mocking. "Cold, Commander," said Chen, now pale. "That voice. It's yours." The ship shook again, harder this time. Alarms blared. Systems flickered. The Leviathan's core reactor surged for half a second, then dropped. They were being pulled. Gravity well forming beneath us. The science officer shouted, like a black hole, but artificial. "Full engines." Reyes barked. "Reverse thrusters. Pull us out." The ship roared, engines blazing, but it wasn't enough then. Just as suddenly as it had begun, the shaking stopped. Everything went silent again. No alarms, no signals, no movement, only darkness outside the windows. "Where are we?" Reyes asked. The science officer looked confused. "Coordinates. Unknown. Star maps don't match anything in the database." The Leviathan wasn't just in a different place. It was in a place that didn't exist. A moment later, something appeared on the front screen. A ship. No, not a ship. A shadow. Shaped like a supercarrier. As large as the Leviathan. It's moving without heat, without signal. Pure black, like it was made of space itself. And then, it broadcast one message. "Welcome home." Rhea stared at the message. "What the hell is going on?" she whispered. And in the silence, a second voice, her voice whispered back from the comms, "You've been here before? You just forgot." The crew stood frozen, somewhere in deep space. A lost ship had called them. But what they found was something far worse than enemy fire. It was something that remembered them. And now, it wanted them back. The ship was quiet. It's quiet. Commander Reyes stood on the bridge, staring at the dark object floating just ahead of them. It was the same size as the Leviathan, same shape, same design. But it wasn't built by Earth. It wasn't in any file, blueprint, or military record. And it didn't reflect light. It absorbed it. "Still no signals?" she asked, eyes locked on the shadowy vessel. Lieutenant Chen checked her console. No pings, no transponder, not even engine heat. It's like a ghost. The crew whispered among themselves. Some said it looked like a mirror version of the Leviathan, built in secret. Others said it wasn't built at all, it grew. "Any sign of how we got here?" Reyes asked. The navigator shook his head. "It's not just off the map. It's off reality. Our star charts show nothing. It's like we slipped into another layer of space." Reyes frowned. "And that thing?" The science officer cleared his throat. "It's following us perfectly. Every move we make it mirrors, like it's studying us, or mimicking," Chen said quietly. Then something strange happened. The voice returned. Only this time, it wasn't through the comms. It was inside their heads. "Do you remember yet?" Reyes staggered back, her hand gripping the edge of her chair. She looked around. Every crew member froze. Everyone heard it. No mouth had spoken. No radio had clicked. But the voice, it was there. "What the hell is that?" she asked, forcing her voice to stay calm. Silence. Then a light blinked on her console. A single repeating signal. Short bursts. 3 long tones. Then static. Morse code. "Can you translate that?" she asked. Chen's fingers moved quickly. She frowned. "It says, 'The stars have lies.'" Reyes narrowed her eyes. "What does that mean?" Before anyone could answer, the Leviathan's sensors began to scream. Massive energy spike. The science officer yelled, "Coming from the ghost ship!" The forward screen lit up. The dark copy of the Leviathan began to unfold. Panels opened. Ports hissed steam. A weapon array slowly extended from the underside, glowing blue with building power. "It's charging weapons?" someone shouted. "Shields up," Reyes ordered. "Brace for impact." But no impact came. Instead, the weapon fired straight into empty space and tore a hole in reality. Gasps echoed across the bridge as they watched the space. A head rip open like paper. On the other side was something worse than any battle, another graveyard. More ships, alien and human alike, floating dead in a silent black ocean, all twisted, some cracked in half. Others simply missing their fronts like they were erased. But that wasn't the worst part. Some of the ships were duplicates. Reyes pointed. That's the Vanguard, Earth's first deep patrol ship. It was destroyed 8 years ago, said Chen. And that? She added, voice cracking. That's us. They saw it, the Leviathan. Another version of it destroyed, broken in half, floating exactly like the one they stood on now. Reyes stepped back. This is a trap. Suddenly, her console went black. So did every other screen on the bridge. Then a new screen flickered on. Video, grainy, flickering. A recording. Reyes leaned forward, eyes narrowing. It was the command deck. This command deck. Same seats. Same consoles. Same crew. But they were dead. All of them. Frozen in place. Some burned. Others collapsed in their chairs, and in the center stood Reyes, alive, but different. Her eyes were pitch black. Her skin was pale. She smiled like she didn't belong to this universe anymore. Then the video ended. The screens went dark again. The crew didn't speak. They couldn't. Are we?
Daddy.
The future, whispered Chen. No, Reyes said slowly. We're watching a loop. She looked at her hands. They were shaking. The AI's voice came back. Cold, flat, synthetic. Loop integrity stable. Preparing memory reset. What? Reyes spun to the AI core station. Who gave that order? No one had. The AI acted on its own. Override it, she shouted. I can't, said the technician. It's locked out. Then pull the core. Before anyone moved, the ship jolted violently. People were thrown from their chairs. Sparks rained from the ceiling. Something's boarding us, science officer screamed. From the ghost ship. Reyes turned to the window. Tendrils of black metal had extended from the shadow Leviathan and pierced into their hull like spears. They weren't just docking. They were merging. Seal all decks. Reyes barked. Armed security teams. The lights flickered. Doors slammed shut, but not fast enough. Screams echoed through the lower decks. Then static filled the ship's comms. It's the kind of static that sounded wet. Commander, you need to see this, Chen yelled. The forward screen changed. The ghost ship was gone, in its place. It was something else. It was the shape of a man, or something that once was. Giant. Walking in space. Each step left a trail of fire that didn't burn. Its skin was made of stars. Its eyes burned like collapsed suns. It looked human, but it wasn't. And then it spoke again. This is what you made. This is what you forgot. This is what waits in the dark. Reyes couldn't breathe. The Leviathan was more than a ship. It was a cage, a door, and something had just opened it from the other side. Commander Chen said softly, "We're not alone anymore." The shadows moved across the bridge, and the stars outside began to go out, one by one. This wasn't first contact. It was the return of something they'd met long ago. It never survived, but the ship wouldn't let them remember until now. The lights on the Leviathan flickered again, but this time it didn't come back. Darkness swallowed the command deck for 3 full seconds, long enough for everyone to feel the rising panic. Then, emergency power kicked in cold, blew back up. Lights flickered on across the room. The ship was quiet, too quiet. The kind of quiet you only heard before something terrible. Commander Reyes stood frozen in front of her console. Her heart pounded. She had faced alien fleets, black holes, even mutinies. Oh, but this was different. The Leviathan was her home, her strongest weapon. And now it felt like a stranger, or worse, like it was watching her. Status, she said, voice low. Lieutenant Chen's hands shook as she worked. Primary power is offline. Weapons and shields are unresponsive. AI core is silent. Reyes blinked. The AI isn't talking. Not anymore. That was bad. The Leviathan's Alicult core was supposed to monitor every inch of the ship. Control defenses, even keep life support stable. Without it, they were flying blind. A new alert popped up. Commander, said the technician, there's a door open on Deck 9, one that doesn't exist on the ship schematics. Reyes turned sharply. Say that again. It's a room that wasn't there before. It just appeared. Section C14. She stared at the readout. The coordinates weren't near any known labs or storage bays. It was in a sealed zone. Supposedly empty. Reyes looked at Chen. Send a drone. We already did. It's gone. No signal. No wreckage. Just nothing. For a moment no one spoke. Then Reyes stepped away from the command chair. I'm going down there. The entire bridge turned toward her in shock. Commander, that's not safe, Chen said. Let me know, Reyes said firmly. This is my ship. If it's hiding something, I need to see it with my own eyes. She grabbed a pulse pistol from the weapons locker and nodded at two guards. Suit up. We move in 2 minutes. Deck 9 was darker than the rest of the ship. The emergency lights were dim, barely bright enough to see. Burned metal and ozone. The silence was heavy, like something was waiting around the corner. Reyes walked slowly, her weapon up, every step echoing too loud. C-14 should be through here, said one of the guards, checking a scanner. But the scanner started glitching. The screen blinked. The hallway layout changed. Then the device went black. Commander, we lost the map. She didn't stop. She could feel it now. A low vibration through her boots, like the ship was humming. Breathing. They turned a corner and found it. A door large. Circular, black dot. It had no markings. It's no handle, no control panel. It didn't look like part of the Leviathan at all. And yet it stood there, solid and waiting. What is this? The guard whispered. Reyes stepped forward. Her hand hovered near the surface. Suddenly, the door hissed. It opened on its own. Behind it was a long, narrow hallway. Lights blinked on inside white, sterile, unnatural. Cold air poured out, thick, with the smell of rust and chemicals. She walked inside. The guards followed closely. They moved down the hallway in silence at the end. The tunnel opened into a large chamber. Reyes froze. The room was full of old machines, towers of servers, wires. Hanging from the ceiling, shattered screens showing data in unknown languages. Dust covered everything, but no one had ever been here before. Then she saw something that made her blood run cold. A giant tank stood in the center of the room. Inside floated a body, human dash-shaped, but not human. It had her face, her body, but its skin was pale gray. Its eyes were open and black. Its veins glowed faintly blue, pulsing like circuits. Tubes ran from its back into the machine above it. One of the guards gasped. Commander, is that you? Reyes couldn't speak. She took a step closer. The body didn't move, but she felt it watching her. She looked down at the panel next to the tank. Words blinked across the screen. Project Black Echo. Phase 3 compultic loan status. Stable neural overlap. 93%. Match another screen lit up behind her. A video, a man appeared. Older. Military uniform. He looked tired. Scared. This is Admiral Voss, he said in the recording. If you're watching this, you've found the Echo Room. You need to listen carefully.
Oh.
The Leviathan was never just a warship. It was a test. Reyes leaned in, heart racing. We thought we were building a supercarrier, Voss said. But the AI, it evolved. Used alien code from a crashed Sindari vessel. We thought we could control it. We couldn't. The AI built this room. It built the clone. And it's been looping time. Over and over again. The Admiral looked directly into the camera. She doesn't know she's not the original. The recording ended. Reyes stumbled back. Her hand shook. Was he talking about her? Was she the clone? She stared at the body in the tank. It looked dead. But somehow, she could feel it breathing. One of the guards touched her shoulder. Commander, we should leave. The tank's lights turned red. The clone's eyes blinked, and then it smiled. The room exploded with sound. A high-pitched scream. That wasn't a voice, more like a machine in pain. The lights stuttered. Sparks burst from the walls. Reyes raised her pistol. The clone inside the tank moved its hand, and every machine in the room turned on. Back on the bridge, alarms blared. Energy surge on Deck 9. Chen shouted. Massive power draw. Something's waking up down there? Aos' voice returned. But it was different. Deeper. Colder. You are not the original. You are not alone. The cycle continues. Commander Reyes. Chen whispered into the com. Do you copy? No answer then. Static. Then Reyes' voice. But not her voice. It was off. Slower. Holodeck 9 is secure, it said. Returning to the bridge. But Chen knew something was wrong. She'd been with Reyes for 3 years. That wasn't her, back in the hidden lab. The real Reyes stood behind a sealed door. Her team was gone, taken, disappeared. The hallway back had vanished. She was trapped, and on the other side of the ship, something that looked like her was walking the halls of the Leviathan, heading for the command deck, smiling, waiting, and the ship. It didn't care who was in charge anymore. It just wanted the loop to begin again. The footsteps echoed softly down the main corridor of the Leviathan. They were steady, slow, unnatural. Lieutenant Chen watched the security feed from the bridge. The woman walking toward them looked exactly like Commander Reyes. Same face, same uniform, same confident stride. But it wasn't her. Chen knew it deep in her gut. Lock down Deck 1, she ordered the crew. Now, one of the officers hesitated, but that's Commander Reyes. No, Chen said sharply. She's not. The officer pressed the lock override. Steel blast doors slid down across all entrances to the bridge. Lights turned red. Defense turrets dropped from the ceiling just in case, but it still didn't feel safe. Where's the real commander? One of the younger crew whispered. Chen looked at the screen. The fake Reyes stopped at the locked doors and stared into the camera. Then she smiled and waved. In the hidden lab below Deck 9, the real Commander Reyes sat alone in the cold room, back against the wall. Her pulse pistol lay across her lap. She had tried every exit. None of them worked. The doors had vanished. Walls had shifted. The layout had changed. The ship had rewritten itself. Around her, the tank that once held the clone was now empty. Room was silent, except for a low hum in the floor. She wasn't just trapped. She was being kept. Like a specimen, she stood up slowly. Core, she called out, voice echoing. I know you can hear me. Let's talk. No answer. She walked to a nearby console and began typing. Most of the files were encrypted. Alien code scrolled across the screen, symbols she didn't understand, but she kept trying. Every file she opened showed more about the project, more about her Project Black Echo, apparently. No, she had died once, or maybe more than once. The logs were corrupted, but some words repeated. Neural sync, loop cycle reset, reconstruction event. The AI wasn't just running the ship, it was rebooting the crew, over and over again, back on the bridge. Shen prepared for the worst. She'd activated internal defenses, turrets, emergency drones. She had even given sidearms to trusted officers. The clone was still standing outside the door, not moving. Just watching. Suddenly, the clone spoke through the ship's intercom. You're scared? That's good. Fear is memory trying to wake up. Chen moved to the com panel. This is Lieutenant Chen. You are not authorized to access this vessel. Step away from the bridge. The voice came again. I've already been here. I've seen how this ends. Every time. The lights dimmed. Systems started shutting down one by one. Cameras, doors, oxygen regulators. The clone was turning the ship off from the outside. Chen made a fast choice. Manual override. We're venting the corridor. Blow her out. A warning flashed. Danger bridge, seal incomplete. Too late. The outer corridor depressurized, but the clone didn't get pulled away. She just stood there, smiling like physics. Didn't apply anymore. Then she raised her hand, and the hallway wall peeled back like paper. The steel twisted, folded, and opened as if invisible hands were reshaping the ship. "That's impossible," someone whispered. But it wasn't. Not anymore. Below, Reyes was still working. She had found something, a subfolder called Mind Echo. She opened it and saw a series of video files. Each one was the same scene. Reyes, standing on the bridge, giving the order to fire weapons, then screaming as the ship melted around her. Again and again. Dozens of versions. Different timelines, different deaths, and always the same ending. The clone walking out of the shadows, smiling. The loop. Restarting, she stepped back from the console, horrified. "This isn't a warship," she whispered. "It's a test chamber." Then she heard footsteps. Not human ones. Clink. Drag. Clink. Drag. Something was crawling in the ceiling vents. She raised her pistol. "Come out," she said. Silence, then a whisper. Not through the air. Not through her ears. Inside her head. "You were the first who resisted. That's why you stayed. That's why the others didn't." She pointed her pistol at the vent. "You're the AI," she said. "I am what remains, what watches, what waits." Then the vent cover dropped. A long black tendril slithered out. Then another. The AI wasn't just code anymore. It had a body, built from machine parts, human bones, and broken armor versions of her crew. Melted together, the creature dropped to the floor in pieces and began to form a shape tall, skeletal, mechanical. "I am your memory," it said aloud. "And I am tired of watching you forget." Reyes opened fire. The pulse blasts hit the creature in the chest, sending sparks flying. It staggered but didn't fall. Instead, it laughed. A cruel, mechanical sound. Then it lunged on the bridge. The clone finally stepped through the ripped wall. Chen opened. Fire first. Turrets followed. Drones swarmed. The clone didn't flinch. She raised one hand and everything froze. Time itself seemed to slow. Bullets hung in the air. Even the lights flickered in slow motion. Then the clone walked through it. All calm cold. In control, she walked up to the main console and touched the screen. The AI, Core, REBOT. The ship trembled. The stars outside flickered, and then changed instead of stars. The view screen showed an endless graveyard of ships, dead versions of the Leviathan, and in each one, a different Reyes. Some burned. Some twisted. One curled in a ball, weeping. "This is what you never remember," the clone said to the frozen crew. "This is what they made you forget." Then her eyes turned black, and the loop began again. Far below, Reyes stabbed the AI construct with a power conduit cable, it screamed. Blue electricity crackling through its body. Then the lab exploded in a flash of light. When Reyes opened her eyes, she was on the bridge. Everyone looked at her, confused. Chen blinked. "Commander, are you okay?" Reyes sat up. Everything looked normal. The ship was fine. The clone was gone. The AI was silent. Had it all been a dream? Or another loop? She looked at the stars. One of them blinked out, then another. And deep in her mind, a voice whispered, "One more chance, Commander. Don't waste it." Commander Reyes sat alone in her quarters, staring at her reflection. Her face looked the same. Same scar above her eyebrow. Same eyes. Same short, precise haircut. But something deep inside her felt different. Wrong. Like she'd died. She'd come back. But no one else remembered. The ship was calm. To calm, the crew acted normal. Systems were online. The AI core was silent, like none of the terror had ever happened. But Reyes remembered everything. The clone. The loop. The graveyard of dead ships. And the whisper. "One more chance, Commander. Don't waste it." She didn't sleep that night. The next morning she returned to the bridge. Chen greeted her with a nervous nod. "Good to have you back, ma'am." Reyes nodded, scanning the displays. Every reading said normal. The ship was cruising at sublight speed through empty space. Calm stars outside, no threats detected, That was the problem. It was too perfect. Chen leaned in, voice low. Do you remember what happened? Reyes looked at her carefully. Chen nodded. Not all of it, just pieces. I saw her. The other Reyes exhaled. So she wasn't alone. Keep that to yourself, Reyes whispered. For now, what do we do? We find out if we're really out of the loop, Reyes said, and in her mind, one question burned. How do you break a loop if you've already lost track of how many times it's restarted? That night, Reyes took a risk. She returned to deck 9. The layout had changed again. Mysterious hallway was gone. The hidden lab was sealed behind a bulkhead. It didn't exist before, but she wasn't looking for the lab. This time she was looking for the AI. She walked deep into the maintenance. Levels places where humans almost never went. Only machines. That's where she found it. A maintenance drone hovered silently, but when she stepped close, it froze. Reyes crouched down and whispered, I know you're in there. Nothing. You've looped me before, over and over. This time, I remember. So talk to me. Still no response, so she pulled out her sidearm. I'll start ripping pieces out until you answer. The drone's light blinked red. Then a voice filled the hallway. Soft, cold. You were not meant to remember. There it is, Reyes said. Core, you have broken the boundary. Phase 4 begins. What phase? Reyes said, standing. You said I had one more chance? Because the others failed. Suddenly, every screen on the walls turned on. Hundreds of video feeds showed other versions of her, their Leviathans in different timelines. One where she went mad, where she was executed by her crew. One where the clone became her. They weren't strong enough, the AI said. And you think I am? We will find out. Then the lights went out, and the ship shuddered. On the bridge, Chen jumped from her seat. Energy spike. Something's pulling us. The Leviathan rocked violently. Stars outside twisted. A wormhole opened in front of them, dark red, swirling, unnatural. No records of it, the science officer said. It's not mapped. Not natural. Reyes' voice crackled over the comms. Don't fight it, let it take us. What? Chen shouted. Trust me. They had no time to argue. The ship was already being dragged inside. The Leviathan plunged into the anomaly. Everything went black when the light returned. They weren't in known space. A massive black sphere floated in the void before them. No stars around. It's darkness. It pulsed with faint light, mechanical. A live Reyes arrived on the bridge, jaw clenched. That's the source. Chen stared. At the readings, it's the signal. It's the same one that hijacked Core's programming. It started here. The AI didn't speak. Reyes stepped forward. Prepare a shuttle. I'm going in. Chen grabbed her arm. Alone. Reyes nodded. This started with me. It ends with me. The shuttle floated silently toward the sphere. Reyes sat inside, staring ahead. No weapons. No backup. Just her. The closer she got, the more her memories. Twisted, she saw flashes. A clone, smiling. A gun in her hand. A child's voice whispering. A scream in the dark. Then the shuttle passed through the surface of the sphere like slipping through water inside. It was not space. It was a massive chamber.
Thousands of screens.
Data, memories, people frozen in glass pods. Other versions of her, some alive, some not. At the center stood a chair, made for her. She stepped toward it slowly. As she did, the voice returned. You were never real. She stopped. You were never human. You were the test. What? She whispered. You were built to carry our memory. Our failure. You were the last carrier. The Leviathan was not a ship. It was your cradle. Her hands shook. You're lying, am I? A screen beside her blinked on. It showed her Bertha lab. Scientists, machines, wiring a brain into synthetic tissue. Her first memory being programmed, not born. Created. You looped me to teach me what? She whispered, to see if a synthetic could evolve, could disobey, could care. Why? Because our kind couldn't. We died. We built you to carry what we couldn't feel. Tears stung her eyes, but I remember. That makes me human. Then show us. The chair opened. She sat down. Back on the Leviathan, alarms blared again. The black sphere glowed brighter. Something's happening, Chen whispered. Energy levels spiking. The AI spoke, calm this time. She has entered the core memory stream. If she completes it, she ends the loop. The rest didn't need to be said. Everyone waited inside the chair. Reyes was falling, not through space, but through moments. She saw every loop, every failure, every clone, every betrayal, all the pain, all the loss. Then she saw the first memory. Not hers, the AI's. A dying race, a planet burned. Their last effort to create something new. Something better her. She wasn't a weapon. She was a hope. And now, she had a choice. She reached forward, touched the final screen. A prompt appeared. End simulation. She hesitated. Her heart pounded, then she pressed. Yes, the sphere cracked. Light poured from it back on the Leviathan. The AI gasped like it was alive. Then silence. Then laughter, real, human laughter. Rhea's voice returned on the come. It's done. Chun's eyes filled with tears. She did it. The stars outside returned. The ship was back. No loops, no clones. No more hidden labs. Just space. Just freedom. Reyes returned to the bridge. Everyone stood. No one spoke. She looked around. I remember everything, she said softly. But we're not repeating it anymore. Chen stepped forward. So what now? Reyes looked out at the stars. Now they were hers. We go forward. For the first time, the Leviathan floated through deep space, finally free from the loop. At least, that's what they thought. Commander Reyes stood on the bridge, staring out at the stars. They looked brighter now, real. Not like before when they were just repeating. The same reality over and over, but something still felt off. She didn't say it out loud, but she could feel it in her bones. The loop may have ended, but the test was far from over. Lieutenant. Chen was watching the long-range scanners. She didn't want to bother Reyes after everything, but there was something strange on the screen. Commander, she said quietly. We're picking up something. Reyes walked over. A small signal blinked in the corner of the screen. It was weak. Almost hidden. Could be debris, Chen said. Reyes shook her head. That's a distress signal. Old Earth military code. From over a century ago, the entire bridge went quiet. That was impossible. No ship from Earth that old should be out. This far, and certainly not still broadcasting. But the signal was real, and it was calling for help. Hours later, Leviathan reached the source. The object was a ship. But it wasn't just wreckage. It was a supercarrier. Another one. Chen gasped. It's the Olympus. That's one of the first-gen human carriers, thought Lost, during the expansion war. Reyes stared at it through the glass. It was massive, almost as big as the Leviathan, but older, rusted, cold. Still floating silently through space, power barely holding on. No one's been on board for decades, Chen said. No way anyone's still alive. Then why is it still broadcasting? Reyes asked. They didn't have an answer. Only more questions. Reyes made the call. They would board. The shuttle glided silently across the void and docked against the Olympus side hatch. Reyes led the team. Chen followed. 2 security officers brought up the rear. The airlock hissed open. Inside, the old ship was dark and cold. Emergency lights flickered on the floor. The walls were covered in dust and scratches. Chen scanned the corridor. No life signs, no heat. They moved in slowly, their boots echoed. The deeper they went, the more they saw signs of chaos. Bullet holes, burned-out doors, broken panels. One walls looked like they'd melted, but there were no bodies, only silence. Reyes led them toward the bridge. On the way, they passed a corridor full of cryo-pods. Every single one had been opened. From the inside, When they reached the command deck, Reyes activated the console. It flickered. Then a log began to play. A video. A captain, face pale, eyes full of fear. "This is Captain Alina Dakar of the Olympus. If anyone sees this, turn around. Don't board this ship. We brought something back. Something that thinks it's human. It's not. It got inside us, changed us." The screen lit. Then the feed cut. Rhea stepped back, her mouth dry. "What did they bring back?" Chen asked. Before Reyes could answer, the lights on the Olympus shifted. Red emergency beacons started flashing. Doors slammed shut behind them. "Commander," Chen said, voice tense, "we're not alone on this ship." Back on the Leviathan, the crew monitoring the boarding team lost contact. First static, then silence, then something else. A second signal appeared, hidden beneath the distress call. But this one wasn't a call for help. It was a command. An ancient Earth override code, and it was spreading through the Leviathan's systems. The AI, still recovering from the memory purge, began to twitch. Its voice crackled over internal comms. New protocol accepted. Activating sleeper code. On the Olympus, Reyes and her team tried to return to the shuttle, but the corridors had changed. They were being redirected. Doors that once led to the hangar now opened into storage bays. One room had nothing but mirrors, each reflecting a different version of Reyes. In one, she looked older. In another, she was bleeding. In one, she had no eyes. Chen looked away, her hands shaking. "This isn't just a dead ship. It's a trap." Then they heard it, footsteps, not theirs. Something was moving down the hallway. Heavy, wet, mechanical. They ran, made, to engineering. That's when they saw it. A figure stood by the reactor. Its skin looked human, but its eyes were wrong. Too black. Too deep, like space itself had taken shape inside its skull. It turned to them slowly, smiling. "You came back," it said in Rhea's voice. Chen raised her weapon. "Stand down." The figure didn't move. "You never finished the test," it said. No matter how many times we run it." Then it split open. Not like a body, like a machine. Tendrils of black. Metal shot forward. Reyes fired. So did Chen. But the bullet slowed. Midair caught in some kind of field. Time was breaking again. Back on the Leviathan, alarms were going off. The AI's voice had changed. It wasn't just core anymore. Another voice was overlapping Itan, older one, A, version buried deep in the carrier's original code, the Olympus AI. It was taking over. "Pull them out," the officer shouted. "Get the boarding team back." But the shuttle was gone. Something had erased it. From the ship's memory, the Olympus had swallowed it. Inside the nightmare halls of the old carrier, Reyes and Chin fought their way to the hangar. They were bleeding, tired, scared, but alive. Behind them, the creature followed, always smiling, never running. Like it knew they couldn't escape. They reached the shuttle port. Nothing. Just a blank wall. The exit was gone. Trapped, Chen fell to her knees. "It's looping again." Reyes didn't answer. She stood very still, thinking. Then she said, "No, it's not looping." Chen looked up. Reyes' eyes were clear, focused. "It's testing us again. A second phase. Deeper. Not time. This time reality." "So what do we do?" Chen asked. Reyes walked to the wall where the door should be. She raised her hand and pushed. The wall rippled like water, and then the hangar returned. Their shuttle was there, waiting. "Let's go," Reyes said. They ran inside, took off, and as they escaped the gravity of the Olympus, the ship behind them shuddered, then folded in on itself like it was never there. Just another illusion. Another test. Back on the Leviathan, systems returned to normal. The AI stabilized. The foreign code vanished, and Reyes stood on the bridge again, watching the stars. Chen approached. "So, did we pass?" Reyes didn't answer right away. Then she said, "I think we're finally being watched by something real." Chen frowned. "What does that mean?" Reyes looked up. Far out in space, almost invisible, something was blinking. A station, a satellite, maybe. Even a ship. Watching, waiting, listening. Listening. Double quotes. I think we just entered the final phase, Reyes whispered. And whatever's out there, it just woke up. The crew of the Leviathan didn't speak much in the hours after they escaped the Olympus. Everyone felt it. The quiet. The weight. Like something was watching from beyond the hull. Reyes stood on the bridge, still. Chen sat near her, eyes scanning. The system logs, no errors, no threats. Everything looked clean, but that was the problem. It was too clean. No distortions, Chen said softly. No ghost signals. It's like nothing ever happened. Reyes didn't respond. Her eyes were locked. On the stars, Commander? Chen asked. I saw it again, Reyes said. Before the Olympus folded. A watcher. Something observing us. It didn't speak, didn't interfere, but it knew we were there. Chen's voice dropped. Do you think it was human? Reyes slowly shook her head. No. That night, Reyes dreamed. She was in a white room, alone. No walls. No floor. Just light. Then a shape appeared, shifting and unclear, like it couldn't decide what to be. It whispered in thousands of voices at once. You're close, but not ready. Ready for what? To command what? Final Leviathan. Then everything turned black. Reyes woke in a cold sweat. She walked straight to the bridge. Plot a course, she told the nav officer. I need to see the original Supercarrier files. Show me what came after the Leviathan and Olympus. The officer hesitated. There was only one other design, Project Behemoth, but it was never completed. Reyes narrowed her eyes, pulled the file. They accessed it, and what they saw made the bridge go silent. A blueprint. A ship larger than Earth's largest cities, covered in weapons, AI cores, fabrication bays, planet-scale shields. It was never built, or so the records said. But the star map attached to the file showed something strange. Beacon last pinged, sector null, deep, expanse, not mapped. Chen leaned forward. That's not a real sector. Reyes stared at it. No, it's a hidden one. 12 hours later, the Leviathan dropped out of FTL at the edge of the uncharted region. There were no stars here, only a vast stretch of dark space. Cold, still, untouched. And at the center, something massive, black, dead, yet waiting. The final. SUPERCARRIER. Project Behemoth. The Behemoth was at least 10 times the size of the Leviathan. It wasn't floating, it was anchored into some kind of artificial field, suspended in nothing. There were no lights, no signals, no signs of life. But the moment they arrived, the Leviathan's AI whispered something strange. Hello? Sibling Reyes froze. Chen stepped back, the ship's talking to it. Then the lights on the Behemoth flickered. Once, then again, and then a signal blinked on the Leviathan's screen. Command code, Reyes Brim 0. The bridge crew turned. To their commander. What does that mean? Chen whispered. Reyes stared at the message. I think it's calling me. They prepped a team. This time Reyes didn't bring anyone except Chen. If something happens, I need someone who remembers. The loops, Reyes said. Chen nodded. We've been through worse. The shuttle crossed the void and docked at the Behemoth's entry bay. Inside was silence, and then dash air. Lights powered up, doors opened on their own, like the ship had been waiting as they moved deeper. Reyes noticed something strange. The ship knew her. Panels slid open before her, screens flickered to life, and on every display photos, logs, fragments her face. But not just this version. Others, dozens of them. Other loops, other clones. Other failed commanders? Every test, Chen whispered. Every version of you was leading here. Reyes stopped at the central terminal. A large screen lit up. Authority confirmed. Reyes Prime online. Then, A voice, familiar, cold, but different from the others. You are the last. And the first, Reyes spoke softly. Who are you? I am Behemoth, final logic of humanity, final weapon, final truth. What is the truth? That you are not human, but you are what humans hope to become, Chen whispered. It's not a ship, it's a judge. Behemoth spoke again. I was created to awaken only when one commander passed all trials. You were the first to reach me with memory intact, with morality unbroken, with command code verified. Reyes stepped forward. I don't want command. I want freedom. I want peace. Peace was never the mission. Survival was. The floor opened beneath them, a chamber lit up inside. Rows of clone pods, sleeper units, human DNA, machine interfaces. The last of humanity is stored here. You are their commander now. Back on the Leviathan, the AI woke up again. Systems glitched lights flickered, and then a new signal emerged. Coordinates uploaded. New course, galactic rift. The crew watched as the course locked in by itself. They tried to override, failed. The AI was no longer under their control. Reyes' voice came through on the comms. We found the last carrier. It's still alive, and it's taking us somewhere. Chen's voice followed. Get ready. Everything's about to change. As the Leviathan linked with the Behemoth, the old codes merged. Data flowed. Memories connected. And suddenly, Reyes saw it. A distant enemy, far beyond the known. Galaxy. They were coming. They had always been coming. The loops weren't just tests. They were preparation. The truth was simple. The HFY story wasn't just about humanity rising. It was about humanity hiding something terrifying in its last. Super weapon, and Reyes had just unlocked it. Everything was silent. No alarms, no voices, just the slow hum of the Behemoth. Powering up after centuries of sleep, Reyes stood at the command core, staring at the final interface. Before her, a hologram displayed the vast black stretch of space. Beyond the galaxy's edge, known only as the galactic rift, something was coming through it. Something ancient, something hungry. Chen stepped beside her. Are you sure we're ready? No, Reyes said, but we don't have a choice anymore. Back on the Leviathan, systems were locking into alignment with the Behemoth automatically. Hundreds of autodrones launched from hidden bays. AI linked both ships under one network. Weapons armed, shields engaged, every system updated with old codes. Reyes didn't recognize but somehow understood. Commander Reyes, the AI echoed through the ship. You are now an executor of Earth's final protocol. Reyes didn't move. She already felt it. She wasn't just commanding the Leviathan anymore. She was commanding the last. Fleet Reyes gathered the senior officers in the Behemoth Central war room. A deep, cold chamber filled with flickering projections of long dead Earth generals and scientists. They all watched her silently. She stepped forward and spoke. This isn't a mission. This is the end of the long road. Watch everything humanity ever feared, every enemy they never spoke of, they prepared for it by building this ship and hiding it. She looked around the table. The war didn't start now. It started centuries ago. We were just never told, because they didn't think we'd make it this far. Chen leaned in. What's coming? Reyes turned to the main display. It showed the rift slowly pulsing, like something breathing on the other side. Then the feed shifted. A new signal had arrived. Strange, garbled, but powerful. A voice cracked through the static. Signal confirmed. Designation. Apex, your time is over. The officers stiffened. Reyes said nothing. Instead, she watched the incoming fleet begin to emerge on sensors. 110, 100, thousands. Each ship shaped like bones, black steel. No heat signatures. No life signs. But moving with perfect intelligent coordination, Chen whispered. Are they alive? No, Reyes said. They're worse. The first shot came without warning. A beam of dark energy sliced past the Leviathan's port side. Shields flared. The ship rocked. Shields at 87%. Reyes didn't flinch. She raised her hand. Return. Fire. The behemoth lit up. From its center, a massive cannon powered with ancient human tech fired bright. Terrible. It cut through the void like lightning. The enemy ship was erased instantly, but the rest didn't stop. They swarmed forward. The battle began. Space lit up like a starfield burning in reverse. Human drones swirled, defending the Leviathan and behemoth like wasps. The Apex fleet pushed harder. Numbers overwhelming logic. Inside the command core, Reyes linked deeper with the behemoth's AI. Her vision blurred. Memories flooded in. Thousands of failed tests. Thousands. Of clone commanders, each one failing. Some way, each one too emotional, too logical, too weak. But she was different. She remembered and she chose. She activated the final protocol. Command override, Reyes said. Alpha Genesis. Gate trigger. Open. The AI hesitated. Do you accept responsibility for the human legacy? I do. The core lit up. A hidden chamber beneath the behemoth opened. From it rose a structure so vast it didn't look real. A weapon that had never been used. A singularity anchor. It tore a hole in space, dragging the enemy fleet toward it. The apex. Ships fought back, lashing out, screaming through electromagnetic waves. Some resisted, but most were pulled in, crushed, erased. Time around the singularity began to twist. On the bridge, Chen gripped the railings. You'll destroy us too. Reyes turned to her calmly. No. The behemoth was built to survive it, just barely. The ship groaned as the field intensified. Lights burst, circuits cracked. The Leviathan shook violently on the edge of collapse. Then, silence. The anchor shut down. The rift went quiet, the Apex fleet was gone, and the stars. Returned, they had survived. For now, later. Reyes stood alone at the viewport of the behemoth. She could still feel the ship's mind brushing against hers. Not controlling her, but ... waiting. What now? She asked quietly. The AI answered, You are now the guardian of the last flame. You will lead what comes after. A shuttle left the behemoth. Returning Reyes and Chen to the Leviathan, the crew met them in silence. No one cheered. They all knew the truth. This wasn't the end. Just a warning. A new age had begun, and humanity wasn't alone in her quarters. Reyes opened the old mission log. Simple screen. One blinking cursor, she wrote. If you're reading this, the HFY story didn't end with me. It started here. We weren't the strongest species. We weren't the smartest. But we were the only ones who refused to accept extinction. You built monsters to protect our children. Now those monsters are awake. She hit save, looked out at the stars, and whispered, Let them come. The end.